Hi guys, how's everybody doing? My name's Lucy, in case you don't already know me, and I just got back from the Tony Robbins Date with Destiny. It was in West Palm Beach, Florida, and it was my first time in West Palm Beach, but it was also my first live Tony event. So I came back with all of the passion, excitement, and enthusiasm because his 6-day workshop, I mean, it rocked my socks and it changed my perspective. It was everything that I thought it was going to be, and then so much more. So, I'm somebody who firmly believes that investing in yourself, in your education, reading books, joining masterminds, sitting in rooms where you're the smallest fish and there's greater minds to learn from. I'm all about expansion and growth. Well, I saw the movie The Secret when I was 18 years old, and for the last 14 years, I've eat, breathe, sleep, just everything self-development. So going into this Tony Robbins event, I mean I've been to quite a few events in the past, and I thought that it was going to be similar. This event was hands down one of the most transformational experiences I've ever had in my whole entire life. I literally walked into this event as one person and walked out a totally different person. It was really cool because one of the things they ask you, what is your intention or your hope or your desire that you want to learn or you want to leave with? And one of the things I had wrote down was paradigm shift, identity shift. And I didn't really know what exactly that meant. I didn't know the ride that I would be in for. But I will say that I got every bit of the ride, and I am here to just share some of the main breakthroughs that I experienced, that I feel like in sharing them with you guys, it makes the world a better place. Obviously, this was a 6-day event, and it was all immersive. We started at 10 a.m., sometimes 11 a.m. in the morning, and we went all day nonstop until 3 o'clock in the morning for 6 days straight. So, needless to say, we had very little sleep, but the event was so much fun and it was so engaging. And I think probably one of my favorite parts was just like the energy and the excitement and the enthusiasm, because when you walk in, you feel like you're going to a concert. They've got the lights and they've got the music blasting, they've got the speakers, and everybody's just jumping up and down. Like you literally feel like you are in a concert throughout the entire experience. Even, I mean, I remember I'm journaling at 2:30 in the morning, and then they're like, let's raise your state. They turn on the music, the lights kick in, and here we are, jumping up and down like we're at a rock concert at 2:30 in the morning while we're like writing out our like subconscious values and the rules that have guided our life, and like the blueprint of our life, and how we're going to rewire that and remap that and kind of like intentionally create a new blueprint for our lives moving forward. So, like I said, there was so much content. It was a content rich experience. And not only was there so much content, but it was also so much emotion and so much healing that took place with all of the interactive meditations or workshops that they hosted inside of it, that there was never a dull moment. So, needless to say, in this video that I'm putting together right here, right now for you guys, I'm not going to even cover a fraction of the magic and the beauty that was there at the Date with Destiny. But I will say that there was some huge takeaways that I thought were just life changing, and I feel extremely passionate, and I want to be able to share some of those things with you guys. So, one of the things that Tony Robbins says is that you don't experience life, you experience what you focus on. And I think that's so true, and it holds so much weight, because at the end of the day, we are blessed as human beings to have the faculty of focus, which means we can deliberately choose what we decide to focus on. And at the end of the day, focus is feeling. So what we focus on, where focus goes, energy flows, and what you focus on expands. And what you focus on is essentially going to create emotions and feelings within you. So two people can experience the same exact thing, but depending on each person's vibrational state and where they were at and what they were focused on, they can have two totally different experiences. So it's up to us to be very intentional and very deliberate to start paying attention and become aware of what we're focusing every moment of the day. Are we focusing on the beautiful flowers of the magnificent colors? Are we focusing of the warm breeze on our cheek? Are we focusing on the sunny blue skies? Are we focusing on the fact that we're powerful, magnificent creators and that we woke up strong and healthy with imagination? Or are we focused on the fact that I don't even know. I'm not even in a state. I can't even think of anything bad right now. You know what I mean? That you stubbed your toe getting out of bed, or that there's dirty dishes in the sink, or whatever nagging problem is that has your attention right now. Remember that problems cannot survive without energy. Problems need energy and attention to survive. So the best thing that you can do is withdraw all of your attention and all of your energy away from your problems, because just like Einstein said, that we cannot solve problems with the same mind or state of mind that we created them in. So that's just a reminder to always stay in state. I think Tony really made that a main priority at this event, is that state is everything, because that is what's going to dictate, that's like the lens how we experience life. So if we want to experience the best in life, stay positive, stay excited, stay enthusiastic, stay positive, and really train your brain, train your eyes to just see the good in all people, places, and things. Um, One of the things that I've always heard in life is that 10% of life is what happens to you, and 90% is how you respond to life. And granted, I'd heard that it makes all the sense in the world, and I totally agree with this. And I also loved how Tony explained that a little bit, and he talked about meaning. So again, two people can experience the same exact thing, but life is all about meaning, and it's all about the meaning that we attach to the experiences we have, or the stories of our life. So there were two twins that grew up in an abusive alcoholic home, where the father was a very mean, aggressive drunk, and made very poor choices and was verbally and physically abusive. And the two twin boys did not have a desirable childhood at all. And one of them grew up to go to jail. He got locked up and he was in prison because he was committing crimes. Um, he was robbing convenience stores and just making poor decisions. So he obviously ended up in jail. And then his twin brother ended up becoming extremely successful and living in this beautiful estate in New York. And when they were both interviewed as to what was why did their life turn out the way it did, when the successful brother was asked, what do you attribute your success to? And he was like, well, I mean, I grew up in an alcoholic, abusive um, childhood, and I knew exactly the person I didn't want to be. And I knew this is exactly what I didn't want. And I had to be better, do better. I had to succeed because that was not an option. And I had to succeed. I had to overcome those hardships, and those hardships made me better, stronger, wiser. And then when they interviewed the brother who was incarcerated, and they asked him, why did your life lead, like what led you to this point in your life? And he's like, well, look at me, like I had an abusive alcoholic father and I had a horrible childhood. That was all I knew. And it only makes sense that this is the road that I would take, given my background, my circumstances, my conditions. So remember, guys, that life is 10% of what happens to you and 90% of how you react to it. The meaning that you place on every experience is going to radically change the trajectory of your life. So life is all about meaning. Um when you change the meaning of anything that happened to you, whether it's in your past or something even that you're dealing with currently, can absolutely change your life. And which brings me to the fact that Tony talked about stories, and that our life is just a collection of stories. Everything that we believe, that we've accepted, that we embrace, that we hold true in our life is essentially just a story that we've adopted. He said beliefs are something that we hold with absolute certainty. But Esther and Abraham Hicks said that a belief is nothing more than a thought that you keep thinking, and they both agree that beliefs can be changed at any given moment. It's just the decision and the desire to identify beliefs that aren't serving us, and then deciding to change these beliefs to propel us to new heights in our lives, in our relationships, in our businesses, in our health. Whatever story that we're telling ourselves, it's just a story. And so it's up to us to decide, are these empowering stories or are these disempowering stories? Is this story serving me or is it not serving? Is it not serving my highest good? Is it something that I've just adapted because covers up the pain, or it helps me cope, or it gives me some state of certainty or security, when it's just like we need to step out of the certainty, we need to step out of the security, we need to step outside of our comfort zones. And I know that can be really hard for a lot of us, but uncertainty is on the other side of fear, and uncertainty awaits your freedom, awaits your destiny. And sometimes our comfort zone can hold us hostage in mediocre lives or unsatisfying lives or unhappy lives. So my challenge to you is to think about your life and look at the fact that everything that you've done up until now, everything that you believe, everything that you told yourself is essentially a story. What's your childhood look like? Like, how did your parents raise you? At the end of the day, they just did the best that they could with what they had and with the knowledge that they had. We're all just on this human journey, this human experience together, and we're all just trying to do the best that we can. And when you start to understand that we're all divinely connected and that we're all here in on this together, then you start to live from a place of compassion. You stop living in your head and you start living in your heart. And that was actually one of the things that Tony hit hard on, was when you get in your head, you're dead. And he's had to say that multiple times. When you get in your head, you're dead. You have to live from the heart, because that is like that's like your true essence, your true nature. That's where divine guidance, where your ultimate wisdom is coming from, is from your heart. So when you speak from your head versus when you speak from your heart, they can sound like two totally different things. They can be two totally different messages, and they will absolutely be received by by two totally different audiences, or in two totally different ways. So look at your life and look at the stories that you're telling yourselves, because then you'll be able to identify patterns. Now, I started to hear about patterns shortly before coming to this Date with Destiny workshop. And I know that I had seen YouTube videos or clips where Tony would talk about patterns and the importance of patterns. But like when I really started to think about it, it's like your life is just multiple patterns on repeat every single day. Look at the patterns of your life. Like for me, for example, like every day I wake up, I meditate, I brush my teeth, I make oatmeal. That's my pattern. Now let me tell you guys, it's really delicious oatmeal with chocolate protein powder and stevia and cinnamon and chia seeds, and it's absolutely like rock my socks amazing. So I'm not gonna give that up anytime soon. Um, Side note, but we all have patterns. And then like another pattern of mine, like I go to the gym 5 days a week. Like it's a non-negotiable for me. And I know exactly what I'm going to do each day. And it's a pattern that you develop. So some patterns are they're healthy, and they bring you joy. Um, they bring you, like, gym is like serotonin and endorphin and all the good feeling things. And obviously it's endurance, it's longevity, it's heart health, it's all the good. Obviously everyone knows going to the gym is good. Then obviously there's other habits or other patterns that we do, which might be like scrolling Facebook and getting lost in social media. Like I don't even open up TikTok anymore because that's like a black hole, I tell you. You blink and 3 hours of your life just got taken away in a blink of an eye. So anyways, don't go on TikTok. Um some patterns that we have, and it might be overeating, or it might be watching TV, or it might be the snacks that you're snacking on while you're watching TV, or it might be patterns of hanging out with people, drinking at bar, like, oh, let's go hang out with so and so and grab a couple beers and some fried chicken wings and cheese sticks at the bar every Friday night. Like, okay, like that's really not serving your highest good. um Although it is probably meeting other needs at a very high level, that's where we need to just stop and reevaluate our lives and what we're doing every single day, the decisions that we're making. And are these decisions that we're making empowering us? Are they disempowering us? Are they fueling us to become the person that we were meant to become? Every single person, we all have this like beautiful infinite potential within us. And a lot of times we just become very comfortable and satisfied with where we're at right now, and instead of like fighting for that potential and fighting to be the best versions of ourselves and really embracing this idea of doing what's hard and showing up for yourself, and becoming truly disciplined in everything, in what you say and what you do and what you think and what you eat, everything. Like discipline is actually, in my opinion, one of one of the truest form, like one of the top ways of self-love. But once you start doing that, it's like you can start to figure out what patterns are running your life. So I'm going to talk a little bit about patterns. Um so Tony said three things about he said, Tony, in case you guys don't know, has a 2-year-old child, which she's very excited about. And he said, if there's one thing I would absolutely, hands down, teach my child, or really anybody, is these three things about patterns. The first thing is recognizing patterns. When you can recognize patterns, he's like, that's how civilizations were built, because people recognized the seasons, the 4 seasons, and then they were able to plant their crops in the springtime, let them grow in the summer, and then harvest them in the fall, and then save them over the wintertime. And that's what essentially grew civilization to what we know it to be today. Recognize, and then once we so first we recognize it and then we utilize it. So first is pattern recognition, next is pattern utilization. So I'll say utilize right here. So that can also apply to our life, where we realize that, oh, as soon as we get home, we take our work clothes off, throw our PJs on, and then start eating chocolate in front of the TV. Like, oh, that's actually a pattern that I do. Does that pattern serve me? Okay, no. So first is recognizing it, and then it's like you're having to change it. So, or obviously utilize, it's like kind of like utilize or change. Um, and so this can also be done with the economy or the stock market or the real estate market. You start to recognize patterns or trends, and then once you start recognizing them, you can start utilizing these to your benefit. And then what that does is that takes away a lot of the fear and uncertainty, because you're able to recognize and utilize these patterns to your benefit. I just realized that this microphone is right in the way. There we go. You guys can read what I wrote. The last thing is pattern creation. So first we recognize them, then we utilize them, and then the third thing is then we're able to create new patterns. So kind of like I said, if you get home and you put your PJs on, and then put your PJs on, you eat chocolate and you sit in front of the couch. Well, guess what? It's time to create a new pattern. So when you're able to recognize new patterns, or old patterns that aren't serving you, you can intentionally create new ones that will serve you. So what's really cool is when we start diving into this, we start to learn that our life is essentially a bunch of patterns that we just continually do on repeat, stories that we've collected and essentially chosen to adopt, as well as a bunch of unconscious habits. And the exciting part is that once you realize that you're not the mind, you're not the body, you are not your thoughts, then you're the conscious observer of these things, then you can step back and decide, oh wait, this isn't who I am. This is just the software that I've allowed to run my life this entire time. And then you can pick and choose what serves you, what doesn't, what do you want to keep, what do you want to change? Because at the end of the day, change is inevitable. Change is always going to happen, but progress is a choice. And so it's up to us to take the reins of our life and decide which direction do we want to actually go into. So, pattern interrupts are the best thing that we can do to intentionally break a pattern. And what was so cool about this date with Destiny is that that's essentially what this entire 6 day fiasco, I don't call it a fiasco, but the 6 day immersive experience was. It was a huge pattern interrupt. If we're used to living our lives every single day and we're used to the same, waking up in the same bed, in the same house, driving the same car to the same job, talking to the same people, having the same boss, doing the same daily tasks, going to the same gym, eating the same food. I mean, we get stuck into these patterns, into these habits. And so this event took you away from everything that you knew, everything that was familiar to you for 6 days. And like I said, from 10 a.m. until 3 a.m., you're going hard, you're going strong. And everything about this event was so beautifully and very intentionally crafted. Apparently, the reason why they keep you working, like you're literally journaling at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, is because that's when you have the easiest, quickest, fastest connection to your subconscious mind. It's essentially like they're peeling back layers, and what normally would take weeks or months or years to accomplish, I mean, he's doing in a couple of days. It's brilliant, you guys. So I wanted to talk about pattern interrupts because that's what, if you guys are familiar with NLP, neuro linguistic programming, um, Tony's got a huge background in that. And I just started to dive in and really understand that the language we use paints the picture of our lives, and that we're all living in this world, right? But we all have our own models of the world. We all have our own maps, and our language is what creates these maps. So he talks about pattern interrupt, and the way, like, one of the ways to do that is laughter. If like laughter is like a full body experience, which is changing your physiology and it's raising your vibration. And so if normally you have something that triggers you, let's say you have some sort of trauma in the past or something that you're struggling with or it's very upsetting, and what he does is he does these interventions live on the spot with people from the audience, and he'll ask them questions, and he's extraordinarily intuitive because he's been doing this for so long, but he'll find out what their story is, what their conditioning is, and then what their patterns are. And then boom, just when you're least expecting it, he'll break that pattern. And what that pattern interrupt looks like is it might be making them laugh out loud, or it might be something clever or creative, like problem solving, or it might be something like truly shocking and abrasive, where there was like this one lady and she started telling the story kind of like victim mentality, that her dad had left her and her sister and her mom when they were young, and like she had a hard childhood because of her dad, and he was really tearing into her, and he's just like, oh, so you're a weak little bitch ass victim. Oh, so you can't take responsibility for anything in your life. Oh, you're just gonna blame your daddy for all of your problems in your life. And like he was going pretty hard on this chick. And then an audience member stood up, another female was like walking to her to come to her aid and kind of like soothe her and comfort her in that time when everyone else was on pins and needles, like, oh my God, Tony's literally tearing this woman a new one. And we didn't understand why at the moment. But then he explained, he's told that other woman, he's like, no, this is literally the worst thing that you can do in this moment. You need to sit down. You cannot go stand next to her and soothe her and comfort her because that's the reward she's gotten her entire life. That's literally the condition. That's the story she tells. And then other females connect with her. And that's how she receives love and connection from other people, is by sharing this sad, stop victim story. And eventually he walks people out of it, and then he throws like funny laughter, and then where he'll have people like challenge him and stand up for themselves. He has all sorts of tools in his tool belt, but it is incredible to see the transformation. But you don't only like see it and experience it, like you feel it. You feel the energy of it. You feel the emotion of it. You feel the transformation of it. And every single intervention that he does is relatable in some level, because again, we're all connected, right? And we all have a mother and a father, and we all have siblings, we all have coworkers. So whether we're the mother in the situation, or the child in the situation, the sister in the situation, we all kind of see from different perspectives how this can be viewed. And then we see the roles that we've played in the past that have either helped or harmed our loved ones closest to us. And a lot of times it's from a lack of understanding or a lack of compassion. So he encourages us, stay hydrated, my friends. Water is delicious. And fun fact about water is that the more water you drink, it actually raises your vibration. And when your vibration is high, it elevates your state. And therefore, you get to attract more beautiful experiences, people, places, and things that will satisfy and delight you. Cheers to water. Stay hydrated, my friends. So going back to language, is that the language that we use is always gonna, it's not only gonna paint the experience which we're living, but it's also going to affect like how we perceive situations and how our body physically responds to them. So he explained another example where it was him and two of his business partners, and they were sitting down at a negotiation, and apparently something had went south and something bad happened, where his one business partner was absolutely furious, irate, and screaming, and so, I mean, like, beyond upset. Like, he was furious. He's like, I'm gonna fucking kill him. And then Tony's like, calm down, calm down. And then the other guy said, sitting there, he's just like, yeah, I'm a little bit peeved off at the situation. And then Tony was like, well, I feel like you should be more than peeved off. And so it's kind of like the language that we assign to the experiences that we have is going to dramatically affect our physiology, which again is going to affect our state, which is again going to affect our vibration. And we live in a vibrational universe where all things move and all things vibrate. We don't attract what we want, we attract what we are. So we can't control the outer world. What we can control is the inner world. And that's why it's so important. If you want to create the reality of your dreams, you don't start with the outside stuff that you can't control. You start with the inner work. And when you're able to control your emotions, control your thoughts, control your perceptions and your interpretations of things, then you're allowing yourself to find that peace and that ease and that joy, that happiness and that fulfillment and that gratitude. And then when you let these lighter, higher vibration, good feeling frequencies fill you up, then that's what you are, that's what you're putting out, and therefore that's what you will attract back to you. So just remember that your language is so powerful and that it carries energy with it. Tony talks about transformative vocabulary. It's really important for us to be intentional about expanding our vocabulary, because the more vocabulary that we have, the greater our vocabulary, the more options that we have. And so the more options that we have, the more freedom that we have, right? Freedom is all about options. So start learning to expand your vocabulary, and then you'll start seeing greater opportunities or choices open up in your life. Um, we all know, well, most of us know that we live in a vibrational universe and that thoughts are things, thoughts are powerful, words are powerful, words have energy. And one of the coolest things about this workshop that in my opinion, I mean, there's so many cool things. How do I choose just one? But one of the super cool things was at the end, I think it was like the end of day 6. It was like one of the most powerful, impactful moments where he had us read you all of our values, and then we had to pick out 4 power virtues, and then we had to pick something that, like the one thing that was like stopping us or holding us back, and prohibiting us from really living our truly fulfilled, like fully expanded, happiest, best version of ourselves. And so we did this in teams of 4. And one of the things that we had to do is we had to say, I am my power virtue and I am my value. And so, for example, my my I'm sorry, my value, my new number one value is courage. So I would say, I am courageous. And so I had to stand in front of the 3 people in my group, and I had to say, I am courageous. I am courageous. And I had to say this until not only like not only was I embodying like the essence of the word, but I was embodying it at such like a real level that they could feel how courageous I truly am. And so just feeling the energy of each person's word was incredible. That was like a vivid illustration of how everything that we say carries a beautiful and unique energy or unique vibration to it. And like the power of our words are like it's real and it's deep and it's meaningful. And we really need to pay attention to the thoughts that we're thinking and the words that we're speaking because everything's connected. And that was a really fun assignment. And one of my one girlfriend, she was like she was beautiful. She was blonde, she was Swedish, and she looked like royalty. Um, Elena, she was amazing. And her word was love. And like she had struggled with love in the past when she'd say like I love. And I'm like, not feeling it so much. And she'd say, I love. And we're like, still not really convinced over here. And then I mean, after 15 minutes, I mean, we had the hand gestures and everything. She was like, I am love. And it was just like she breathed in love and she breathed out love. And we could feel that love all around us. I mean, I have to say that one of the most remarkable pieces to this entire Date with Destiny experience is the fact that Tony can cultivate such an incredible atmosphere of like this unconditional loving energy, this healing energy. The fact that he is able to bring in 2,000 people from all over the world, I believe 95 countries were sitting in that room, and it was so cool because every single time you have like there were hardly any breaks. Let me share that with you. So every single time I had to go to the bathroom, I'm literally like running as fast as like it's obnoxious, like running to the bathroom because everything you're sitting on the edge of your seat the entire time. It's captivating, it's hypnotizing, it's pure inspiration. So like you don't want to miss anything. So every single time I like hike or I sprint to the bathroom, and then like of course there's like always a line in the bathroom. So you're like do the potty dance. But then to distract yourself from the potty dance, you meet like these amazing people. So this event is filled with the most remarkable people from over 95 countries all around the world. And the coolest thing is that every single one of these people that you're meeting and that you're networking are 100% committed to showing up as the best version of themselves. I mean, I met women who flew in from Singapore. There were so many cool Australians. There were so many people from the UK. I met people from all over Canada, from South America, from countries in Europe that I probably could not even spell if I tried to. So it was just that for me was so validating Because here I was, all I had to do was hop on a plane and go to Florida. No big deal, right? Where these people crossed the entire globe just to be here for this week with Tony Robbins and all of his infinite knowledge and this incredible, if you want to call it a pattern reset or rewiring, paradigm shift. I mean, whatever it was life changing. And so it was so cool to be surrounded by such an incredible community of high vibrational doers, thinkers, entrepreneurs, business owners, thought leaders, and change agents. So that was super amazing. The second piece that I want to share with you guys is this dance with feminine and masculine energy. Okay. And like I said, I've been involved in the self-development world for quite some time, and I'm familiar with this idea of like, okay, yes, there's feminine energy and there's masculine energy, and the idea of polarity and attraction in a relationship, and there needs to be polarity in order for there to be attraction and passion. Um, but it's a one thing to understand something conceptually, and it's a whole other level to be able to vividly experience and feel what is divine feminine energy, what is divine masculine energy. And I have to share this with you because this was one of the most one of my favorite parts, one of the most powerful pieces to this was the end of day 4, which was relationships day. He devotes an entire day to relationships because he says that the relationship you have with your loving partner is one of the single most important relationships you have because that is going to magnify and intent, like it's going to add increase to every other area of your life. If you go on a trip, or if you're a millionaire, if you're successful in business, like what does it matter if you go home at night to an empty bed? The our having that like loving connection and sharing that love and that intimacy and that passion is something super special and super important in the human experience, and everybody deserves to have that. So he really goes deep on relationship day, and at the end of the day, he does this this beautiful he does it for the females and he does it for the men. So just in case you guys don't know, like I'm gonna do a quick overview, super, super quick, about what's feminine energy look like and feel like, and what's masculine energy look like and feel like before I describe what we actually experience at the event. So feminine energy is going to be caring, it's going to be kind, it's going to be nurturing, it's going to be supportive, it's going to be patient, it's going to be very intuitive. Women are known to naturally be more empathic, more intuitive because they're more on the feeling side of things. We just feel things. Sometimes we just know things because we just feel things. We can't really explain it. So feminine energy is it's energetically free flowing. It's very creative. Okay? The masculine energy on the other side is more action oriented. So the masculine energy is going to be strength, security, protection. They're going to be more logical. They're going to be more practical. Like I said, more action oriented, where they're they have like that strong masculine. They bring a lot of safety. So this is what he did at the end of day 4. We're all sitting down and he's like, all right, ladies, I want you guys to stand up. And he talked about how we all have light energy and we all have dark energy inside of us. Or I don't know if he said energy, but he's like, we have he said light and dark. I don't remember. We all have light and we all have dark inside of us. And he's like, neither one is good or bad. It's just part of who we are and it's part of the human experience. It's meant to be embraced. So what we're going to do, ladies, is we are going to go ahead and put some light music on. And what I'd like you to do is just close your eyes and I want you to just move your body, whatever feels whatever feels right. However you feel inspired to move with the energy of the music, just go ahead and just flow and dance however you would like to. He's like, I want to make this very clear that you're not dancing for anybody in the room. You're literally just just dancing and being you, and whatever you feel inspired to do is perfect. And he's like, we're gonna put some light music on, and then we're gonna put some dark music on. So he lowers the lights and he puts some light music on, and it was kind of just like happy, free, easy, soft music where you kind of just start like flowing with the music. It's nothing too crazy, nothing too wild. And then he switches it and he's like, all right, after I think it was like after two or three songs, he put on dark music. And I think he kicked it off with the Moulin Rouge song where it was like voulez-vous coucher avec moi ce soir? And I mean, as soon as he put that song on, it was like a light switch went off, and the women all of a sudden we just exploded with like energy and excitement and movement, and we were just super feeling the music, and it was so much fun. It was like, and you're moving and grooving, and then he's like, "All right, gentlemen, go ahead and let's let out a yell and express our appreciation for the women in the room." And so then all the guys like roar like, "Oh!" And so then the women like we just start dancing even more. And then they put on another song. I don't remember what it was, but it was like again like kind of like a sexually charged song that just like inspired you to like move and dance and pop the booty and do all the things. But like it didn't even matter because your eyes were closed, so like you didn't even care who was sitting around you. Like you just let the body move, you let the music move through your body. And it was like, and then he's like, all right, gentlemen, let's make some noise for ladies and show your appreciation for them. Roar, and they roar, and then we just dance more. And like that went on for maybe 10 minutes or so, where like it was just like an all-out dance fest. And I am not even kidding you guys. Like that was such an incredible moment because I feel like it was just like divine feminine energy that like filled my soul. Like I felt so free and so happy and so full of joy. I felt so liberated and I felt in my power. I felt happy. And I feel like for the last year, there, for whatever reason, life happens, things happen, less than desirable experiences show up, and sometimes we have to deal with them. And sometimes, life knocks us down and it dims our light. And unfortunately, like for this last year, I felt like my light was kind of dim. But I tell you what, after doing that, like that divine feminine energy dance, I feel like that like filled up my soul and like lifted me and like lightened me and like it like recharged my battery. And it was such an incredible experience because for the first time I'm like, that is how I want to show up in like that's how women need to show up is in their power, is in their divine feminine energy. Because in that divine feminine energy, like there is power and like there is confidence and like you feel good about yourself. My coach Dave Conway right now, he says that the most he said the number one trait for success is confidence because confidence in Latin is like confidere, or yeah, which is translates back to faith. And so when you have faith in yourself, faith in God, it fills you with confidence. And when you have confidence, you're unstoppable. And when you show up with the energy of confidence, you light up a room. So what that means is that I need to dance more. So that was like one of like, and I feel like everybody should dance. So as I have came back to real life, that's been one of my huge takeaways is that like I need to get back to doing what like fills my soul and recharges my battery and like allows my light to shine as bright as it's meant to. Is that like wait and I did this with in the morning with one of my best friend Angels. Angel came over and we were going to film horses. I buy train and sell horses, and we were filming a sale video. And I was like, wait, before we video, I'm like, we gotta do our dance party. She's like, what's a dance party? And I'm like, we just put some music on and we just dance. And like for the next 15 minutes, we had the most fun, maybe 20 minutes. I don't even know how long it lasted, but we were moving and we were grooving and we were laughing and we had so much fun dancing. And because that lifted our spirits so high and elevated our vibration, the entire rest of the day was absolutely perfect. All of our videos were, I mean, seamless. The horses were perfectly behaved. Everything worked out better than expected. So again, when you start your day out with intentionality, raising your vibration and doing what like fills your soul and lifts your spirit, like it's going to make all of your experiences that much better because state is everything. So the second part of this date with destiny relationships night was the masculine energy. So after we sat down in our seats and then they're like, okay, gentlemen, so now what we're going to do is they turn the lights down and they played this clip from Braveheart. So they've got Mel Gibson on a white horse and his face is painted blue and he's running back and forth in front of the troops that are ready to retreat and fall back, and they don't want to because they're scared for their lives. They're like, we're outnumbered. There's no way that we're going to defeat, I don't know if it was like the British army or what. And he gets up there and he's like, gentlemen, we must fight for our freedom. And if we die with knowing that we supported our freedoms because we won't go back home living a life without freedom. Anyways, this is incredibly like beautiful, patriotic, moving, inspirational piece that we got to see with him galloping up and down in front of the troops, like rallying them, talking about how important it is to fight to the death for our freedom. And then so the scene ends, the lights kind of pick up just a little bit. Tony Robbins is standing at the front of the stage. And the next thing you know, he goes, freedom! And just instantaneously, all of the men in the room stood up and they started yelling, freedom! And then Tony Robbins again, he yelled, freedom! And just bellowing, the guys stand up and they yell, freedom! And I mean, this went on for maybe 5 minutes. And I mean, it was like the energy of the room was palpable. You could feel it. But it was so fascinating because not only did us females feel incredibly safe, like I've never felt so safe and so secure in that masculine energy. It was also incredibly sexy. Like there was this lady who stood up and she was like, listen, y'all, she's like, I'm a happily married woman. And she's like, I don't know what that's all about, but that was damn sexy. And I think like 3 or 4 women also said the same thing, that it was so basically my point is that when guys are in their true masculine energy, they're super sexy to us. And when we operate in our divine feminine energy, we're powerful and we're also very sexy to them. So that was an amazing illustration where we could not only see the masculine and feminine energy, but you could feel it. The room was just like dripping in it. It was so cool. It was so cool. So I wanted to share that experience and explain that every single like all guys, most guys, almost all guys have masculine energy. And almost all females have feminine energy, unless you're talking about like a gays or lesbian. Because when I look at my super good friend Dawn, she is a chick, but I mean she's masculine all day long, and it would be actually hilarious if she ever did anything feminine, which she kind of does sometimes, like joking. But like her core energy is hands down masculine, and so it's not necessarily like if you're female, you have to be feminine, or if you're a guy, you have to be masculine, unless like roles are kind of reversed in that situation. But my point is that as soon as you know what your true essence is, as soon as you like identify like I am a powerful female with divine feminine energy, and you learn how to unlock that energy, it's like you it's like the door opens and like you're stepping you instantly have access to infinite potential that's inside of you that's just waiting to come out. And not only are you like powerful and sexy and confident and like showing up with the right like compelling energy that's just like attracting high vibrational people, places and things to you, but you're also showing up with the polarity necessary for a successful romantic relationship. So a lot of times, so polarity in relationships is when the female shows up feminine and the guy shows up masculine. And when they both show up in the correct states, um, there's attraction. What happens a lot of times is people get married and then they have kids and then life happens and then someone gets fired from a job or someone goes through fights with baby mama drama, um or whatever, someone loses a job, they lose the house, whatever hardships, they're struggling raising the children, whatever hardships may arise, what can happen is the energies can shift. And when the energies shift, then females will unintentionally become more masculine and males will unintentionally become more female. Obviously, it's super important to have a healthy balance of both positive and I'm not sorry. It's super healthy to have a healthy balance of both feminine and masculine energy because, um, for example, as a leader, as a boss, I have to show up with like that masculine energy, with certainty, with assertiveness, with logic and practicality. So that's important as a business owner. That's very masculine energy. But then as as a partner in a relationship, as a girlfriend, I need to show up with like the fun, flirty, I love you, baby. I'm gonna like take care of you, I'm gonna nurture you, I'm gonna put your needs first, I'm gonna put you on a pedestal, um, with that energy. So it's important to show up as both. A lot of times what happens in relationships when hardships do arise and females start to feel unsafe, then what happens is they start to close down and they start to go into the masculine energy, which, and when the female starts to go masculine, that is going to repel the male and, or it's just going to create friction. And it's going to make it more difficult for the relationship to truly prosper. And the same thing if a woman is trying to control or criticize her man, chastise him, what's going to, if she succeeds in doing so, what's going to happen is she's unintentionally going to be making her man more like feminine if her man decides to like actually like listen to her, and then she's going to lose respect for her man that is now stepping into a feminine energy, and she's not going to like her man because she's like, I want a real man. I don't want this like little boy who's like just like running around trying to please my needs. Even though we think that we want a guy who's going to please all of our needs, we actually want like a real strong masculine man who's going to do it, but who's going to do it his way when he wants, how he wants. And we're going to find that sexy as opposed to like a little groveling boy that like we can just kick around. If we can kick him around, then we don't like him. He's got to stand strong and firm, and we have to feel safe with him, which is rolls right into my next topic, which are the 3 C's for men and the 3 U's for women. So in any relationship, there's 3 U's for women that you never want to do as a guy, and there's 3 C's for guys that ladies we never ever want to do because these can have detrimental impacts on our relationships. So here. There we go. So we'll put the female over here, and then we'll put the male over here. So I'm going to start with the male. I kind of already went over these, but I just feel like it's really important if you guys can take out a pencil and a paper, or maybe take this down in your notes. The 3 C's and the 3 U's. For the male, the first thing that you never ever want to do is you never want to criticize or coach a masculine male. If you try to criticize or coach a masculine male, he's not going to receive it well. He's not going to like it, and he's probably going to like start to resent it and get irritated. It's going to be received as more of like a nagging and like, why are you always trying to like tell me what to do? Which is why they can't be controlled. A masculine male cannot be controlled. So ladies, if you're trying to control your man, especially a masculine man, good luck. Like, he's not going to want that. He's not going to tolerate that. He's not going to like that. we all enjoy our freedom, and masculine men prioritize freedom. The last thing that we don't want to do is we don't want to be closed to them. So a lot of times what can happen is if, you get into an argument with your partner, we can shut down as females and we can just be like, I'm not talking to you, just leave me alone and go in the other room or take off, or you block them, stop answering their phone calls, text messages. Anytime that you're closing yourself off to your man, it's received way harsher than we truly understand ourselves. Us closing ourselves off to our men is very, very hard and very difficult for them. So one thing that Tony talked about that I thought was like really, really interesting in terms of like the closed versus open is that men don't view sex like women view sex. He actually talks about how like we're two totally different creatures and that like we really have to try to understand each other. Well, with men only need a place to have sex. Women need a reason to have sex. And then he went on to talk about how sex for men is the ultimate form of love that they can receive, because it's when their woman is opening themselves up to their man and accepting him completely and entirely for exactly who he is, which is validating that he is enough. Because at the end of the day, we have two human fears. One is that we are not enough, that we're not good enough, we're not funny enough, we're not skinny enough, we're not cool enough, we're not wealthy enough, whatever it is, we're not enough. And the second one is that we won't be loved. So now we understand why men place sex on like a super high pedestal, because it's like the ultimate form of like love and acceptance. For females, there's 3 U's that men never want to do. The first thing is if your woman feels unseen, that means that she doesn't feel loved, she doesn't feel appreciated, she doesn't feel acknowledged. That's really important, because although significance might not be super important out in the real world, on the job, feeling like significant and feeling loved and feeling important and feeling appreciated inside of your romantic relationships is extremely important to females. So we need to feel important and appreciated, and like you noticing the details. And I know that's like a totally foreign concept to most guys, because they're like, wait, what details? You cut your hair today? What? Oh, you're wearing makeup today? What? Oh, you got a new pair of shoes? I thought those were the same black stilettos that you wore last week, babe. I don't know. So it's just important for females to feel seen and appreciated, because a lot of females put in a lot of work with the details to try to like show up for our men in beautiful ways. And so when we're acknowledged and appreciated for those things, it really means a lot to us. The other thing is unsafe. So this is super interesting, because one exercise that he did while he was there, he was there the whole time. One exercise that we did with Tony was he said, gentlemen, raise your hand if in the last 3 months you have feared for your life in any capacity, like you were actually afraid for your life. Raise your hand right now. There was not one hand that went up. I mean, maybe there was a hand in the back of the room that I didn't see, but I didn't see any hands go up. Then he goes, ladies, if you have feared for your life in the last 3 months, please raise your hand. And I was even taken back. I couldn't even believe, I would probably say 75 to 80% of the room of the females all raised their hands. And I feel like that was a really good eye-opening exercise for the gentlemen to see that women all throughout history, like we've historically been preyed on by masculine energy. So therefore, it's really, really, really important for us to feel safe. And not only safe in the terms of like physically, like we don't feel like we're in physical harm, but also safe in the relationship in terms of like I feel secure and I'm in a stable relationship and it's not a roller coaster of emotions and I don't know if this is going to end today or tomorrow or next week or next month, and never really knowing what, a constant up and down, break up, get together, break up, get together. Safety is super important for females in relationships. We really value that at a really high level. The last thing is not unknown. It is understood. When we don't feel understood. So not understood. So this is actually hilarious. Because it's not hilarious, but the skit that they did to explain the understoodness, just resonated with me at an extraordinarily high level, because God bless Jason, he has to deal with this. Okay, so it just so happens that males and females are two very different creatures, as it turns out. And one of the things is that men don't like to talk as much as females. Females talk. I think he said that females talk like 500% more than males, something crazy statistic like that. But the reason why is because when men would go hunting back in the day, you couldn't talk. You had to be quiet, or all the animals were going to run away, and your family was going to starve to death. So men could not talk. Women, on the other hand, were doing all of like the berry gathering, and so we would go out and we would talk the whole time while we were on these like trips to gather berries. And then we would come back, and then we'd have to relate in great detail exactly where we went, each turn we went, with the fork in the road, we passed the stone, we made a right, we came to the waterfall, we made a left, and then we found the patch of blueberries. And it's so important for us to relay details with high levels, relay stories with high levels of detail, because that's how, we survived, because we had to like explain where the sources of food were located. And two, we also found a great deal of love and connection in sharing all of our stories with each other. So what us females tend to do is we tend to talk and share a lot about our problems. And guys, as it turns out, they don't talk about their problems to their guy friends, which I thought to be very interesting, and that was news to me. So apparently, guys don't talk about their problems. Guys are problem solvers. So what tends to happen in many female-male relationships is we'll be talking to our guys and we'll be telling them about something that we're experiencing, a problem, an issue, whatever it may be, and we're telling our men, oh my gosh, babe, this is what's going on. This is how I'm feeling. This is what happened. I don't know why it happened. We're just going on and on about the problem. Well, guys are very solution oriented. They're problem fixers. Guys fix problems. If you look at any job, a guy is going to climb the ladder of success based on his level of problem solving. So guys get accolades and success and rewards the better and quicker they are at solving problems. So here we are having a conversation between a man and a female. The woman is just talking about her problems nonstop, and the guy's like, listen, babe, I see the problem. This is all you got to do. You just got to do this, this, and this, and boom, your problem's gone. I can fix that for you. I can fix your problem. Yay. And the woman's like, you don't get it. You're not listening to me. You're not listening. You don't understand me. You don't care about me. You don't love me. You don't want to connect with me. So that's why it's so important for guys, whenever you're having a conversation with your lady, you need to figure out, is this a conversation that you want a solution for? Or do you just want to vent, and do you want me to listen to you? Because it is invaluable. Sometimes it's invaluable when a guy will listen to you and understand what you're saying, and just and feel that connection with you and for you. So those are the 3 C's. Those are the 3 U's that can harm or benefit a relationship. One thing I did forget to mention about the criticizing is, one of my girlfriends, I was telling her about this, and she's like, okay, Luce, but if I can't criticize or coach him, how am I supposed to communicate with him? Because he does a lot of dumb stuff. And I mean, Like, I need to keep his ass on track. And how am I supposed to do that? If I can't criticize or coach him, how can I even communicate with him? And Tony does an exceptional job of talking about how important it is to operate from the head. I'm sorry, operate from the heart instead of operating from the head. So what that looks like is sometimes Jason does a lot of unhealthy snacking or makes poor dietary choices. And I in the past have been like kind of nagging about that. And so, or just like kind of annoying, be like, babe, are you like, don't eat that. Isn't there like a healthier option or whatever? And so, which to him as a super masculine male can very easily be interpreted as criticizing, coaching, nagging. Um, Now what I learned is that through this Tony event is that what you do is you operate from a space of love and you speak from the heart. So it's like looking into his eyes, placing your hand on his heart and being like, babe, I love you so much and I care about you so much that it literally breaks my heart when I see you making unhealthy decisions, like lifestyle decisions. Like, I want you to be around forever and I want you to last forever. And let's figure out a solution, let's figure out better ways, like how can I support you in making healthier like diet choices. So that is gonna hit totally different than, babe, did you order those like Twizzlers or chocolate or whatever sugary snack that came from DoorDash. um so it's really important to always speak from a space of love. um All right, guys. So this is the last part, and this is the part that for me was hands down, uh, I would say like the biggest breakthrough. Um, when he started talking about the four types of love and how we show up and how we operate in this type of love. So I'm gonna go ahead and talk about four types of love. Four types of love. Um, the first type is baby love. Baby love, or they'll call it baby love or dictator love, is like that very demanding love that you'll see from a baby or a dictator when it's like, love me now, love me like this, I want it now, and like this is how it's gonna be. And so obviously it's very one-sided and it's very demanding and it can be a little harsh. But I mean, babies don't know any better. They know what they want and they want it now. So you better give it to them now. So that's going to be first love is baby love, very one-sided, very demanding, very like I want it now. The second type of love is what they call what Tony called as whoring love. He called it whoring or he called it horse trading. I like to think of it as like a transactional love. So I'm gonna put transactional. So there's two different kinds. There's conscious and then there's unconscious. So the conscious transactional love is going to be like obviously prostitution. Or it could also be where it's like a transactional, something that was like prearranged or set up. Or it could be something like, oh, why is this 20-year-old dating a 70-year-old? Like, it's probably not true love. It's probably like she's hot and he's got a lot of money, so why not make it work? Or who knows? But typically that's going to be like what transactional love is kind of like when you're trading one thing for another and there are expectations in place. So the second, and I shouldn't say second, but I guess the second kind of transactional love is this unconscious transactional love. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, that's pretty much like where I've been operating my entire life. Like unintentionally is this unconscious transactional love where it's like, I always say like, I love love. Like I love being in love. I love how love feels. I love sharing love. I love expressing love. Like I just love everything there is about love. Um, and then I'll get in like and so in a relationship, like I'll give and I'll give and I'll give. But I noticed when Tony was talking about this horse trading love, this whoring love, this transactional love, is like there's always like you give until your expectations aren't met because you are also you're expecting something in return. And if that person is not meeting your expectation, then you're kind of like, okay, well, I'm gonna start to withdraw my love here. Or it could look like, okay, well, I'll do this, this, and this, and then I am expecting you to do this and this in return. And if you don't do that, then like I'm probably not gonna like show up for you and love you like how you'd really like me to love you because like you didn't show up for me how I wanted you to love me. So it's very there's a lot of expectation in this transactional love and this whoring love and this horse trading love. And um, Tony always says, trade your expectations for appreciation, and your entire life will change. Um, which leads me to the third, which is true love. So, true love is the real love that you experience when you just love selflessly without any conditions. You love without any expectation. And it's just like you you have nothing inside of yourself but love to give. And that's so when I got my pup Sage, I always said like she was my first dog and I always say like Sage is the first thing that ever came into my life and showed me what true unconditional love actually is. And so, because it didn't matter what she did, it didn't matter if she puked all over the $4,000 carpet. Like, I'm still gonna love that little fur baby until the ends of the world. Like, I love like there's nothing that she can do that is there's not like I just love her like so much. I remember a funny story is we were remodeling my house and we were painting the cabinets white and my whole living room had all of these cabinets freshly painted white and we like walked outside and we came back all of the brand new freshly painted cabinets had puppy prints all over them and I literally started laughing so hard I'm like oh my god the contractor's gonna be so pissed. And so, but thank God I was working with an amazing contractor who came back in and decided to hang up all of the freshly paw printed white cabinets the next day with all of the paw prints all over the cabinets. But I was able to clean them and then he sanded them and we painted over them and honestly you can't even tell. So again, your power comes from how you respond to things. Life is 10% of what happens and 90% of how you respond. I didn't overreact. I didn't get mad. I didn't get frustrated. I didn't get upset. It was super like I laughed about it and I chuckled. And sure enough, it was super easy to remedy and like the solution was right there. So if anything, it gave me a fun story to explain how Sage can do no wrong and I love her more than words can express. So that's gonna be your true unconditional love. Now, in order to have success in your relationship, this is the love right here, baby, that we need to embody and we need to express. And there's one way to do that, and that's by finding out what your partner's 6 human needs are, the order of those needs, and being very intentional to meet every single one of your partner's 6 needs at an extraordinarily high level. And then, guess what? You do that for 6 months straight, you're gonna like you're never gonna have to worry about controlling your man again. Because guess what? If you meet all 6 of his needs at an extraordinarily high level, you're gonna own him. He's gonna worship you. I mean, that's just how it works. So true love is loving unconditionally and just giving and giving and giving without any sort of expectation about what's in it for you or how you can be reciprocated in it. The last love is called enemy love. Enemy love is enemy love is when you love so much and so strong, like all you have is love inside of you. And so when you think back about the people who have wronged you, who have hurt you, who have betrayed you, or who have put like obstacles or hardships in front of you and made your life more difficult, or maybe mistreated you, you look back at them and instead of harboring any like hate or anger or frustration or ill will towards them, like
you just breathe and you smile and you just love them. And you love them because you realize like we're all human in this. They did the best that they knew how with what they had at that time. And if it weren't for them in your journey, you would have never grown to become the strong, confident, independent person that you are today. So it's like you just have to pour out love for everyone, even the people that you feel like did harm you or did do you wrong. Because if it weren't for them, you wouldn't be the incredible person that you are today because you have now learned how to overcome those hardships. So these are the 4 types of love. What you don't want to do is you don't want to operate in the baby. You definitely don't want to operate in the transactional, which is what I realized that, like, this is pretty wild, but I realized that, like, I've been a really selfish person most of my life. And not like intentionally, not like I'm like mean or malicious, but just like I was loving with this, like, I guess, like, condition or expectation to receive in return. And so his day 4 on relationships opened my eyes so big and so brilliantly to this that now I'm like, so now I've essentially shifted my paradigm, shifted my identity, and now I'm devoted to a life of living selflessly and giving back unconditionally. So, and it's like it's this life of like of true love in every single in every single aspect of our lives. If everybody just learned to love each other unconditionally and selflessly, like how beautiful would this world really be? So one of the things Tony said is that what I had mentioned earlier, find out what your partner's 6 human needs are, what order they fall into, how they rank, and be really intentional about meeting them at an extraordinarily high level for 6 months. So, super quick, the 6 human needs are the first one is certainty. I'm gonna write that right here. You have certainty, and then you have uncertainty. Then you have significance. And then after significance, you have love and connection, love/connection. And then lastly, you have growth and contribution. So these last 2, growth and contribution, are actually spiritual. So certainty is the idea that we want to all have our basic needs met and we want to feel safe. We want to feel certain. Certainty can also be like we feel very confident. We know what to expect. We know what's coming. We know that our job, is going to pay us every single week. We don't have to worry about, not being able to pay our mortgage because we have like a steady Eddie job, and that's going to provide us certainty, security, stability. It's kind of just like knowing what to expect is certainty. Uncertainty, on the other hand, is one of my favorite flavors, and it's kind of variety. It's the unknown. For me, it's fun, it's adventure, it's spontaneity, it's excitement. So anytime that there's a new adventure to explore, I'm like, heck yeah, let's try it. Oh, it sounds scary. Okay, perfect. Let's go. That's going to be uncertainty. Significance is going to be like we're all different, we're all unique, we're all special, but people who are significance driven want to be told how special they are on a regular basis. They really enjoy recognition and they really enjoy feeling important. Love and connection is obviously just that. We get that a lot from, it could be from our fur babies, from our partners, from our family, from our children, could be from our coworkers at our job. It could be from the social media posts, the likes that we get. That brings us some sort of love and connection. People get love, and people can derive healthy and unhealthy habits in order to achieve all 6 of these needs. So all of these needs, all humans have these needs. We all have top 2 that are the most important to us. And it's really important to find out which like how they rank with your partner, so that way you can show up and like give to your partner in the highest, most productive way. And you have to remember that your six needs probably rank in a different order than your partner's six needs. So if your partner's super certainty driven and you're super uncertainty driven, like booking a vacation where you're going to be like exploring like the jungle or a safari, or where there's just like a lot of unknowns or like questionable things, like that could like not be very exciting for someone who loves certainty and just wants to like go to a fancy hotel or boutique hotel and enjoy like a spa day or something. There's more certainty around that. Um, the last two are growth and contribution. Growth is the idea that we come here essentially for our soul's expansion. We want to grow and we want to become more and do more and learn more. We want to constantly be on this journey of growth and expansion. Contribution is giving back, whether it's giving back to the community or giving back to loved ones or being of service, helping loved ones, helping those that we care about, or it could be like giving back to total strangers. Whatever capacity that looks like, growth and contribution are the probably the two most beautiful, because these are going to be our spiritual needs. Usually for most people, these are the last two that they think about or focus on, because they're too focused on feeling important or feeling safe and secure. So it's really important to talk to your partner and identify, or your loved ones or your family or whoever you care about, prioritizing and putting their needs before your own. Because what Tony talks about is the definition of love is putting the needs of someone else in front of your own. And Tony also talks about, like, from day one, he said, all the problems of the world, all of the suffering, from all the suffering in the world, it comes from one thing, and that's selfishness. All of the problems of the world come from selfishness. So, if the definition of love is putting other things or people before yourself and taking yourself out of the equation, then by default, it only makes sense that love is the solution to all of the problems and all of the suffering of the world. So, therefore, we need to embrace a truly selfless love and learn how to be of service to as many people as possible. And that is going to be how we attain true success and ultimate fulfillment in our lives. So that's the whole enchilada. That's everything I got for you guys tonight. That's what I'm super excited and I had on my heart and I wanted to share with you guys. Sorry it took a little longer than expected, but if you can imagine, this was only a needle in the haystack, or I mean, just like a tiny little it was just a portion, a fraction of all of the material that we were able to experience, uncover, and unlock. So now, I guess what I've realized after 6 immersive days in this transformative event, I think one of my big takeaways is that I have been operating unintentionally in like a very selfish space, and I need to step into this idea of selfless love and service. So now I've shifted my paradigm, I've shifted my identity, and it's kind of scary because our ego and identity is like who we believe ourselves to be. And so when you decide to change your identity, it's it's terrifying, because when you start to say like, "Oh, I've been selfish my whole life and now I'm just going to like pour into everybody else except me," then your ego's screaming, "What about me? What about me? How are my needs going to be met?" And that's part of this like unshakable faith, unwavering faith, and that's part of uncertainty. Sometimes we don't know, we don't have all the answers, and it can be scary. But when you just lean hard on faith and you trust God and you trust the process, that's when miracles happen. So that's what we're working on right now, is this identity shift from like a life that was more egocentric and focused on me, versus now I'm done playing it small and it's time to show up
in a big, beautiful way and to give back and to serve humanity at the highest level possible. So, if any of you guys watching found any of this information valuable, and if you have any audiences that you would like me to share this information with, if you would like me to speak, whether it's friends, families, colleagues, loved ones, um, employees, whatever communities, whatever capacity that looks like, I would be more than happy. In fact, I would be excited and thrilled and overwhelmed with joy that I'm able to share some of these beautiful concepts of love, of life, of service, of creating, of joy, of expansion, all of these things I'm very, very passionate about. And I'm here to serve, I'm here to give back. And I'm super excited about this new door that has opened in my life and how I can show up bigger and better for all of you guys. So thank you guys so much for watching. Wishing you guys a beautiful day. And I love you all. Take care. And I can't wait to hear what you guys think about all this and I can't wait to hear about your feedback and how I can help.